Hey friends, listen, if you enjoyed last week's Home for the Holidays, we are back tonight for part two. We're about to kick it off. It is going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to talk about what do you do to get to the fulfillment of that hope, right? And it is time for us to walk into the next season of our lives. So join us for the second part of Home for the Holidays, where we're going to kick it off and so that we can finish December strong and go into our next season. Bye, y'all.
So we're making this pivot, right? Let's make this pivot because I think now the question is, well, how do I go about doing that? How do I go about living in this current reality and being open and receiving
Mm,
where God has me today, as opposed to living in and trying to recreate what I used to want and who my younger
yeah.
self wanted. Um, what is it? What are the things that I have to have? What are the things that I need to be unlearning now in order to do that? How do I start that process? Because again, going home, it feels like going back. And it feels, and so it
Mm,
puts you in that mindset of going back. And so when I go back, I'm reminded of what I don't have yet, right? And I'm
yeah.
reminded of what I have to go back to and all this stuff. So it's like, what do I do with that, especially during this holiday
Mhm.
season? How do I manage that? And where's the encouragement? How do I stay hopeful? So, um, I I have there are three words that we kind of talked about earlier. We were kind of as we were talking about this episode, Quita, like that I was just reflecting on that I think um unlearning this is going to take three things, right?
Okay.
It's going to take having grace with yourself,
Mhm.
it's going to take having patience, and it's going to take having hope. So,
Mhm.
um, so you have to have grace. You have to give yourself grace because it don't put so much pressure on trying to figure it all out in the next 2 weeks.
Mhm.
First of all, right? Um, give yourself some grace, and in that you're gonna have to have patience, and that'll help you. The hopefulness, I think, will begin to flow out of you being intentional of giving yourself those things. So let's talk a little bit about what it looks like to be give yourself grace.
There's a scripture that came to mind, but I got to think of it to get it. Uh, let patience have its perfect work.
Uh-huh. James.
That
What?
I love having saved friends, man. That's perfect. That is just perfect. And you
Consider
said it
it
like,
pure
how do you
joy.
not know that?
Yeah.
How do you not know that? Okay. Um, but wait, no, I don't think that's the one I was
Oh,
thinking of.
that's
But
not it?
nevertheless,
Okay. Okay.
nevertheless, moving on. I think that when you think about having grace for yourself, I think, you know, in the Bible in Second Corinthians 12, where it talks about my strength is made perfect in your weakness,
Mm-hmm.
right? That scripture actually starts off by saying, my grace is sufficient for you, right? And like, I think a lot of times when we think about grace, we think about like something being passed over. Like, yeah, you were wrong, but I had grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were wrong. Yeah, you did something that was trifling, but I'm going to have grace and give you a pardon, right? But I think that the strength of grace is in its ability to carry you in weakness,
Mm,
and you have to know
that's
that
good.
even in my weak points, there is a grace that is still carrying me. And that this season also, I think Paul says that he boasts in his infirmities, right? Because then he knows that grace is coming. And
Mm,
you have to know that when you hit
yeah, that's
areas
good.
or moments in your life where you feel really, really weak, really, really down, really, really downtrodden, sad, grieving, mournful, angry, all of those places, all of those things that make us feel like the weaker vessel, are like
Mm-hmm.
Lord, I'm not handling it like I normally would handle it, and I'm not covering things like I normally would cover it, and I'm making mistakes and I can't feel like I can't get back up, then those are the moments that you actually need to rejoice because grace is showing up for you right there in that moment.
Yeah.
And so you have to, and in order to accept that grace, you have to step back and say, I was never going to be able to do this on my own strength.
That's correct.
I was never going it I wasn't made
That's
to
right.
do this independent of God.
That's
And
correct.
also, and I think the bigger thing is when we get to these middle adult years, some of you are married, some of you do have kids. All of us got jobs, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you are at a completely different stage of life than when you built them dreams and hopes.
That's good.
At 18 you had no job.
Right. Right.
Not no real job.
Right. Right.
We was working retail and
Yeah.
drive-throughs and internships. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Even at 25, you had a starter job.
Right.
Okay? You wasn't
You
out
had a
here.
clock in job.
Yeah, you wasn't leading teams of people. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
you weren't out here, envisioning programs and building businesses and being doctors and lawyers and leading families and like we weren't doing those things when we started creating all these hopes. But now you are in a space, middle adults talking to us, you are in a space where there is a weight on you of I got to hold these things up.
Yeah.
And what I'm telling you right now is that if you continue to maneuver through life where you're constantly getting better and growing in areas of your life, but you're not growing in grace, you will get to a point where the things that you're carrying will overwhelm you. You are going to have to absolutely learn how to accept the grace of God and when we say give myself grace, what we're really saying is allow yourself to live in the grace that God has already provided for
That's
you
correct.
so that you can find strength in the moment to keep going forward.
And I think that that is that right there is something personally that I have had to really, I mean, I told myself that today. Like, with Abigail, you gotta give yourself grace. We we went to a church today to sing. And this particular church is one of our most supportive churches. They're amazing. We've gone back to sing during Christmas time for like 5 years. And most of the time we've been there, we have had these we sell merchandise, things like these sweaters, sweatshirts, t-shirts, and these people love them. They buy them up, they love them. Well, last year we was the first year um last year was the first year that we didn't have it. And we didn't have it in the way we did. We had a little merch, we didn't have the same merch. And then we this year we didn't have it either. Now part of that, all of that is due to the transitional kind of internal transition that we're going through. And or that we've gone through this year, right? We've had, I mean, it's just we have a whole new team. um the co-founder team is still involved but not full time and doing different things. So it's really me having to manage things that I've never managed before. And so there everybody's asking like, where the sweatshirts, where the sweatshirts, where the sweatshirts? And every time somebody asks, it's just like a little small little just
Mhm.
on my just like and it's like, oh
Mhm.
god, I feel, and I did, I mean, I felt like a real failure, inadequate. I had all those feelings today. um like, I am really screwing up. Like, did I miss an opportunity? Am I losing,
Mhm.
opportunities for donors or whatever? It's just like, what do they think? Are they gonna, I don't know. It's just, do we have a bad taste in their mouth? Are they starting to lose trust in the organization?
Mm.
I'm doing all this, right? I'm
Yeah.
going all these different ways. And I had to tell myself as I was getting in my car, I said, with Abigail, you've got to have great, you've got to allow yourself
Mhm.
to live in the grace of God. Be
Yeah.
gracious to yourself because you're doing something, number one, new to you, new to most of your team,
Mhm.
and you don't, the what they experienced was produced by experienced people.
Yeah.
In that, you are not experienced in that, so you can't expect to be at that same level. I will get there, but we needed some time, and we've needed a
Yeah.
couple of years to kind of come back. And so, if I'm honest, that feeling is actually, I've been feeling that all year,
Yeah.
right? I've been feeling that all year of, can I maintain what we've been doing? Um
Mm.
and
Mhm.
it with a different structure and a different team.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
it's been really like it's been very humbling. I and it's been hard, but it's not that I don't believe we can do it. I know we can do it. But at doing it at the same pace and doing it according to other people's expectations is what's really
Mhm.
hard. And it's like you got to give yourself grace
Yeah.
because you're not there's some things you just don't know yet. And you have to give yourself time to learn. One of the things that
Mhm.
I have as I was reflecting on it, I think it's important to recognize is that unlearning anything has a cost to it. And so does learning. There's a cost. And I've been paying the cost of learning and unlearning this year.
Ooh. Whoa. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That was not in the show notes.
It wasn't.
All right. That's good. That's good. Ooh, we.
It
Yeah. Yes.
is, right? And
Yeah.
one of the biggest costs is time. Like,
Mhm.
that's one of the biggest costs. Like I have to pay more time than other people in this learning with these learning curves and unlearning curves. There are
Mhm.
things that I have to unlearn as a leader in order to learn new things as a leader. There are things that I have to have time to do. And so the cost, like there's a cost on the front end of that. And if I don't pay the cost on the front end, I'll be paying the cost for a lot longer. And so
Ooh.
what I've learned and what I've been able to kind of hold on to is you're paying your dues this year.
Mm-mm.
This is the year.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Cause again, y'all, I've been telling y'all, if you've been watching the last couple episodes, I told you, I'm more prone to crying. Cause again, I went through this healing journey. And paying your dues this year, girl, girl. I promise you, uh I got to the end of, we're in December, and as I reflect back, I'm like, Lord, so much happened, and I I'm like, so much happened, but it's like I don't have a lot of like the things that like I thought I was gonna come out of
Mm,
this year with. But like I came out like, and I'm like, I know that next year is gonna be such a hard pivot
yeah.
because it is almost like the Lord is requiring. He's like, "You have got to get in position. Like, you cannot do this thing halfway anymore. I need you all the way in." And so it has been some hard pulls, man.
Mm,
It's been I mean, it's like it's kind of like tug of war, like except it's just me on this side and the Lord on the other. And he just like kind of pulling me a little bit, but it's
yeah.
like jerking, like I'm jerking forward,
Mm,
and like, but it has been like, he's like, I'm trying to get you somewhere,
yeah.
but all I feel is, Lord, I didn't. Now listen, now I feel like I'm trying to hold on
Yeah.
because I'm trying to maintain, and the Lord's like, I don't want you to maintain. I want you to move forward.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, but I'm trying to. So I got my feet dug in the ground, and I'm like, I gotta stay right here. And the Lord's like, that's not the
Mm,
place of purpose, and He's pulling you, and
yeah.
so with that pulling, with the pull of God, there comes a lot of having to let go of some things, and taking your heels out of the ground and allowing God to
Yeah.
just put you in the place that he wants you to be in.
It, y-
Right?
y- Luke. So in Luke 14, this is something I was reflecting on earlier today as well, right? It talks about, it's talking about this counting the cost of discipleship. Like don't so
Mhm.
essentially it's talking about this gives a couple of stories. Um who who builds a tower without first making sure he has all the materials to do it? Who starts doing it,
Mm.
right? Or who goes to war without making sure you have enough money to finish the war? I was in a workshop this weekend, and this is um, one of the verses that we kind of were core to the conversation, and it was like, you gotta make sure, because what you run the risk of, and this hit me so hard, man, is before you go down this road of growth, of unlearning, make count the cost. Know what you're going to have to give up. Know what you're going to
Mm.
have to let go of. Understand that there are some things that you're not going to be able to hold on to. And if you haven't made a decision if you don't fully understand that, and then you get to the middle of it, you're like, I can't do this no more. What you end up doing is you end up embarrassing the God you say you serve. And that when somebody said that this weekend, and I was like, so you can't give up, not for you, but for the sake of his name. Like,
Mm.
so it's like, hey, don't put, if you doing something, just even living your life, right? If you in the name of the one you serve, and then you go down the road and you like, hey, this ain't for me. I can't do this no more. It's too hard. I'm finna go back. I can't do it. You make him look bad.
Whew.
And so like, this journey of what it is you having to unlearn going into this next year, and say, okay, we gon' where I'm willing to go through the reconstruction. Like, let's do it.
Mhm.
But make sure you're counting that cost. Well, I like I said, the learning costs you. It's gonna cost you. So if you don't believe that you're willing to pay the cost, you might want to step back and say, am I ready for this right now? I mean, that's just a reality, because it's going to cost you this next year. Because again, you know, um, this isn't going to happen quickly, right? Going and shifting your mindset of what it looks like to engage your life as it is today, and not how it was 20 years ago. Like, that takes time. That's a mindset shift. And so, understand, be ready to give up the dreams of 25. Be ready for that. Be ready to embrace new dreams. um be ready to embrace new desires. Be ready to
Mm.
embrace a new community. Be ready to embrace the new, and let go of some of those things that are no longer relevant, because you've passed that stage. You just haven't chosen to let go yet. And
Yeah.
so, but I do caution, I caution people, as of like, I've been going through it in several seasons of my life, but out specifically with work, and just learning how to lead differently, and being in a different area of leadership, and some of the things that we do have going on in the next few years, that I have been the catalyst for. Like, hey guys, we're going. Let's go do it. And then so I have to be like, yo, and you better be ready. And to your point, God has been getting, I think, even the mentality this year has been a reality check, right? And a mentality check of, okay, if this is where you say you want to go, then this is what it's going to cost, and I'm going to spend some time molding you into a person who's willing to pay that cost.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of this year has been that for me. um
Mhm.
because I don't want to keep living in this, you know 10, 15 years ago idea of
Listen.
where I thought life would be like,
Mhm.
either in my leadership life, in my personal life, in the life of my community, the life of my friends, whatever. Like, I don't want to do that. So I need to be prepared. And I'm grateful for this preparation season. And so now I want to move in understanding that grace, accepting the grace of God, is going to be crucial. I don't care what season you're in, learn how to do it now. Because the
Yeah,
more you have more responsible for, the more you're going to need the grace of God. And
for sure.
you're going to need to make sure that you don't ever get to the point. to where you're beating yourself up because you aren't strong enough. To your point, it's
Yeah.
not your strength. Um, and how do you boast in your weakness? Like, start doing that now.
Hmm.
Accept that and really boast on your weakness.
I just want to encourage anyone I know, especially my middle adults who are listening right now, as somebody who this year entered into what felt like a very selfish moment, right? Because just putting all my cards on the table here, I went from, a job where I was really focused on everybody else, right? Like, hey, I need to be there for my team and be there for the people that I mentor and the people that I serve and the people that the people and feeling like God brought me into a place of not isolation, but a place where it was me and Him saying, I'm giving you a time period. And so I'm in a job where I literally work by myself.
Mm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I wanted to go a day without seeing people, if I want to go a week without seeing people, I
Wow.
could.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there are like, besides the meetings that I have to go to, there's nobody. I have one person that I kind of lead, but she only work 10 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really leading her.
Right.
Like there's no, my leadership right now looks like get things done
Mm.
and get on about your day, and so, but what I have surmised or what I've concluded is that God has given me a little space, Psalm 23, where he says, uh, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie in green pastures. The Lord made me lie down. He said, come
Mhm.
here, sit down. We're
Yeah.
about to deal with some stuff. Right. But he gave me a space for that. And I think that what I'm also very aware in this hard pivot that I feel coming up is that my space, my time that God gave me for the lying down, it's it's coming to a close, and God is like, did you get everything you were supposed to get with the time that I gave you? And what I want to encourage y'all is that I believe that God will do that in the life of any leader, in the life
Mhm.
of anybody who is needing to make that pivot and to move from that place of, well, Lord, I don't know what I'm hoping for, to Lord, I'm going to walk in the fullness of everything that I am
That's
and
right.
everything that you've created for me to be, right? Like the Lord will give you a space. I was talking with my hair care person, not a hairstylist, and this is another part of my journey,
Hmm.
right? But I'll get to. But I had to go see a hair specialist because, like, literally, hair was just coming out, y'all, and that was really really difficult to deal with, really 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 difficult, like, because as a woman, we're told your hair is your glory.
Right.
And
Right.
I think back to when I was younger and people used to pick on me about my hair. Like they would be like, oh yeah, look at Jaquita's hair, it don't move, and da 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 da.
Mm.
And how I went through this whole journey of like going natural and then being like, well, boom, I bet y'all ain't got curls like this though, and like feeling like this pride in my hair and for it to like betray me.
Mm.
I was like, girl, I stopped the creamy crack for you. And now you want to act up. It was so difficult to like really go through that season. But the Lord told me this morning in the church house, the Lord told me that hair carries the memories of the past, and that some of that hair had to come out by the root, because what had been growing there, God needed to purge so that what God had always intended could grow in my life.
Mm.
If you live in the prophetic, you know that stuff like this happens, and you got to hear the Lord when he's talking,
Mm.
right? And so I'm like sitting here like listening, hearing God say it, and I'm like, okay, I get it and I can go now.
Mm.
Like there are things in your life that carry the memory of where you were, and you are going to have to lay those things aside
That's
because
good.
they've become burdens. They have
Mm,
become things that will impede you from getting to your place of purpose.
mm.
And they gotta be pulled up. Y'all hear me so that I can say that I didn't go through this for no reason. Okay. I'm serious. I'm very, very serious. You have got to know that there are some things in your life that God is going to pull up by the root,
Mm,
and it is going to be painful because you had hinged a part of your identity, a part of your self-worth, a part of you feeling content and well on that thing, and now it's being pulled out, or on that person, or on that opportunity, on that job. I put my entire understanding of who I was into being a mentor.
mm,
I am a mentor. It's what I do. It's who I am. I mentor the next generation, right? I pour into them. It's who I am. It's what I do. It's my purpose. And now I'm in a job where I'm not mentoring nobody. And all the people I used to mentor are grown. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, Lord.
mm.
So I'm not mentoring.
Yeah.
I do a little, like a side gig now, but it's not the main gig,
Right.
and so like what does life mean now? And the Lord is saying, let me get you to the place that I've always designed. But you have to allow things, you gotta let them go. I had to let go of this idea of I am people's person.
Mm,
And it was the only and doing that, y'all hear me, letting go of that idea that I have to be people's person. Like when people are like, oh yeah, I just love Jaquita. She's my person. She's my mentor. She's my covering. She's my this. She's my that. When I let go of the idea that that's who I had to be, the Lord said, now be my person. And I was
mm,
like, oh Lord
mm,
Jesus.
mm.
And it's a completely different mindset. But in order to get to the next phase of your life, there's gonna be some stuff that's gonna have to be let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's so relearning yourself and allowing God to show you the strength of His grace in the next season of your life. You can't beat that.
So, all right. So, with the process of having grace with yourself and giving yourself grace and accepting the grace of God, right? And just this whole process in general, it'll take time. Like there should be no expectation that you're going to get this right away. So what does patience look like for you in these moments? How do you exercise patience?
Sorry. One thing about me is I remember, how when you were younger, you used to say stupid stuff, and then like you look back and you be like, why did I used to say that? I remember I used to say a lot, I'm just such a patient person.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
I I re-
Yeah.
I really am patient.
Yeah.
I'm patient with people. Hey, you're
Uh-huh.
screwing up, but it's all right,
It's
huh?
fine. It's
We're
fine.
okay. We're fine. It's all good. And I used to really think like that I was really patient, but it is really difficult when everyone around you, especially when you get in your middle adult years, and everybody's looking at your timeline. They're like, all right, it's 38. You've been patient long enough, is what everybody is saying to you. They're like, all right, maybe we need all right, I have designed a new prayer strategy for you because apparently the one you using
Right.
ain't getting you
It
to the
ain't
promise
working.
quickly enough.
Right. Right.
Hey, as people coming up to you, looking at you like, I'm praying for you, daughter. Because you got to get there. Because you're not there, you got to get there. And then seeing everyone around you get it, I'm like, all right, let patience have her perfect work, but I think patience is not waiting,
Yeah.
right? You can wait and be impatient while you
Sure.
wait
Absolutely.
because waiting is involuntary.
You can you're
You
not
know
going
what I'm
you don't have a
saying?
choice.
Yeah,
You
it
ain't
ain't
no
here.
choice. Right.
It
What
ain't
else you
here.
gonna do? Right.
You waiting,
Right.
and if you think, let me tell you something. If you think you're gonna go out and get it, it still ain't there.
No.
Okay? The Lord ain't even gonna let you know where to look for it.
No.
So sit down and sit back. You think you can rush something. We cannot rush the hand of God. What
Mm,
you can do, I think that patience is acceptance.
that's good.
Patience is, Lord, I accept your timing. I
Yeah.
accept your purpose. I accept your plan. And I trust you.
Yeah.
And then when you get to a place where there is not a hand pushing you in your back saying that I got to get this thing now. This year is our year. This it's going to happen right now. It's about to happen. And when you say, Lord, give me my daily bread. You know, what do I have on the docket for today, Lord?
Right.
I'm not going to, what I'm saying? I'm not
Yes.
going to
Yeah.
worry about tomorrow. What's for today?
That's right.
What's for today? Because there is a beauty in today, there is a
Yeah.
purpose in today, there is a plan in today, there is a joy in today, there
Yes.
is a peace in today, there is a fulfillment in today.
That's it.
And patience is saying, I'm going to stay right here in today and not allow myself to get anxious about tomorrow.
And that is, I think that's perfectly put. Patience is acceptance, and it's really leaning on today, because something that I've that is gives me hope, and I tell a lot of people this, and I try to tell myself this, is that the day you're living right now, you'll never live again,
Mm-mm.
ever. Today is Every day is unique because tomorrow will be totally different. Um, if it happened today, it will not happen tomorrow exactly the way it happened today. That's not possible.
Mm,
And
mhm.
so when you focus on today, and you focus on that, and you let today be today, there is hope that tomorrow won't will be another today, but it won't be the same day that you're living right now, if that makes sense.
Mm, mhm, mm, mm, mm,
And
mm,
so
mm.
it's every day you have an opportunity to be patient, and so I think the other part of that is, and I've had to keep telling myself this, and I hope this is encouraging to somebody, is uh God really doesn't bring you to the place you are now to give up on you. He has not brought you
Oof. Ooh,
to the place you are now to give up on you.
y'all
Like,
better hear it.
he hasn't
Y'all
brought you
better
here.
hear it. Ooh,
He
we.
he brought you here, and you have to believe he's going to bring you there.
I wish I had one of those, the little app where you can play the little churchy music behind it. That's what you needed right there. You needed that right there. You needed some accompaniment because let me tell you something. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. Like, ooh, this is not the end of the plan.
it's not it,
And
man.
that's the beginning of patience. Oh
Yes,
God, Lord have mercy. That is the beginning of patience. That is the beginning of acceptance.
that's
It
it.
is saying, Lord, this is not the end. And I know you have more. So I'm going to settle in the moment and I'm
Man,
trusting you with the more
that's it.
because I know it's coming. And that's what I've been trying to tell people because the saints been looking at me because when I tell you there are some people who I love dearly who have been like, this is your year. The husband, oh, he's coming. You know what I'm saying? The promise, it's here. They said that in January, and now they looking at December like, did I go wrong or did you go wrong?
Right, right,
Who
right,
went
right, 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 right. Right.
Who went wrong? And I had to be like, listen, I started getting fulfilled in the moment.
Yes,
I
yes.
started I started getting fulfilled in the day
Yeah,
and not looking at the tomorrow.
that's right.
I started seeing God moving in today and it made me even more excited about tomorrow so that I can but my joy is being filled in today. And that for me is sufficient
Yeah,
because not only is my joy filled, my hope is not in the promise, my hope is in the giver of the promise
that's correct.
because
100%.
I've been finding joy with him every day.
That's
Every day
correct.
I've been like, Lord, you're good. Lord, I can't believe you did that for me. Lord, I don't understand this, but Lord, I see you moving, doing something because I can finally see what God has been doing all along.
Yeah.
I can finally see, okay, God in his goodness, in his love, in his mercy, in his grace, in his sovereignty has always known what he was doing.
Always.
Always known what he was
He's
doing.
always known.
And the moments where I tried to go out and craft a plan, none of that worked.
Mm-mm.
None of that worked. But when I settled into, I know the plans that I have for you, plans of good and not of evil, to give you an expected end. The purpose of that scripture was not for you to focus on the end, it
Mm.
was for you to focus on the for I know.
That's right. Right.
It's the for I know. And if God knows, I don't have to.
That's it.
If God
That's
knows,
right.
and if it's an expected, if it's an, oh y'all, sorry, this is good to me. Okay, but if God knows, and if the end is expected, if He's expecting an end, you get what I'm saying? If He is expecting a thing, if He's expecting a conclusion and
Yeah.
and the fulfillment of the promise, if God is expecting it, then I can rest in God's expectation. I can say, Lord, you're expecting a good end for me.
It-
And if you're expecting it, I know it's going to happen.
It's gonna
My
happen.
expectations don't always, you know what I'm saying? They don't always make it all the way in.
Right.
But God, if you're expecting it,
Yes.
I know this thing is going to
It's
happen.
happening. It's a
It's
guarantee.
happening.
It's a
It's
lock.
guaranteed.
Like you. Well, let's since we in the word, let's just stay right there in the text.
We
So
preachy today, y'all.
there we are. Sorry.
You know I like it.
The next verse, I don't have it in front of me, but but our job, when he was talking to them in that moment, number one, they were in captivity, and number
Mhm.
two, he's telling them that your job is to seek the peace of the city you don't want to be in.
Yes. Oh,
You are
child.
to plant, you're to make homes there, you're to live there.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Thrive,
yes.
thrive in the very place that you are unsettled.
Ooh. Oh, oh, oh. Say that again.
Thrive in the place that you are unsettled.
Y'all better hear. I don't know if y'all hearing with the same ears that I'm hearing with, but y'all better hear the word of the Lord on today, because let me tell you something. This is where the people of God are right now.
Mm,
I don't care what your political affiliation is. I
mm-hmm,
don't care what your what you experience this year. What I have felt in the spirit is a great unsettling.
mm.
People are unsettled because what they thought,
Yeah,
what they hoped for has not come,
hadn't
or
happened.
it did not happen in the way that they thought that it was going to happen. But what I'm here to tell you is, baby girl, baby boy, friends, and loved ones, the Lord is getting ready to prosper us in an uncomfortable place. That's what and that's what I need us to know. You know, when we talked that few weeks ago and we talked about getting the stones out, preparing your soil, I felt it in the spirit then just like I feel it now. Y'all, we are about to see the goodness of the Lord in the
Mm.
land of the living. Like it is coming. It is coming, and it's coming at a time that don't make sense, because ain't nobody else gonna be able to take credit for it.
Come on.
You're absolutely right. They were in captivity. They were not at home. They were in Babylon, I believe, right? And they were in a desolate place. They
Yes.
were in a place that literally took them and said, you're ours now. And in that place the Lord said, you will build homes. You will build a city here that will be yours. You will prosper here, and I will give you back everything you lost, not in the place that you came from, but in the unsettled place, in a place that didn't
Ooh,
seem like it would have any peace. God's going to give you peace in a place that doesn't seem like it should have peace. God's going to give you joy in a place that doesn't seem like it should have joy. It's not because, one, nobody can take credit for it but God.
oh God.
And two, your testimony, your witness, what God is going to do in your life has to be in a strange place.
Mm.
It has to be in a place where the people haven't been reached yet.
Mm.
It has to be in a place. It's because it's what you're called to. Don't look at the place that makes you feel unsettled. I think we need to look at it with different eyes.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at it with a different perspective, because the place that you're unsettled at is the place that you're needed in.
Mm.
It's the place where your testimony will thrive.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I've been talking to people so much about just what they've been through and what they've had to carry, and and a lot of it, some of it was not things that they did, that things that happened to them. Some of it was mistakes that they made. They were not in captivity because, these people just came and swooped them up. They were in captivity because they had rebelled against the Lord enough to where the Lord's like, all
That's
right,
correct. That's correct.
all
Yep.
right
All
now,
right.
all right.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so we have to know that, like, even in your mistakes, even in the areas of life that you didn't get it all right, even in that area, God had a
Mm.
plan.
That's good.
Even in the places where you failed, God had a plan. God had a plan.
That's good,
Y'all,
man.
we are about to walk into the plan of God that we
That's it.
don't deserve.
Come on.
That we don't deserve. And okay, another moment of being honest here, because these are my fellow middle adults, and I want
Yes.
us. When I tell y'all, I want us. Ain't the purpose of this podcast so that we can all live in more freedom?
Come on.
I want us free.
Let's
You
get
get what
free.
I'm saying?
Come on.
I want us free. I want us out of bondage and living in the prosperity and purpose of God. That is where we need to be as a people, as believers. That is where we need to be in 2025. We need to be free.
Come on.
We need to be free. I promise you, we need to be free. And what I'm telling y'all is that there are, just my full transparency right now, right? I was in church today. A lot happened in church today. I had to, I took notes on the sermon, but the Lord was talking to me, and He
Mm.
was like, there are just areas of my life where I've been like, Lord, I feel like I'm drowning.
Mm.
I feel like I'm drowning.
Mm.
I feel like the waves are rushing over me. And I said, Lord, I asked the Lord today specifically about one thing in particular. And I'll just be honest, finances, right? I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, how am I gonna get out of this? Because I feel like I'm in a pit. I feel like I'm at the bottom of a pit, right? And so that meant I was over here on a high ground. Somehow I found myself at the bottom of a pit. Now, it's not a terrible situation, but it's just my perspective on it changed. My perspective on
Mhm.
my credit
Mhm.
cards and on my bills and on how I'm spending money, it shifted. And I
Mm.
said, "Wait a minute. I don't want to be here no more.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
don't I don't want all this anymore." But when I really realized the weight of it, I was like, "Oh no, I got to get up out of here.
Come on.
I can't stay." Like, and you got to get to a point in your life, whatever it is for you, you have to get to a point in your life where it's,
You-
"Oh no, I can't stay right here.
That's
This
it.
ain't for me.
That's it.
God has more for me than this right here."
Yeah.
And you have got to start. And so I'm like, Lord, I'm looking, and I'm sitting at the bottom of this pit. But one thing I know about a pit, because I preached it when Joseph got thrown into that pit, is that there is a Bible verse that says that He delivered me from the miry clay and out of the pit, right? And it says in the Bible, it says out of the horrible pit, that He pulled me out of the horrible pit. And the word horrible in the Hebrew means noisy, right? So it's, what did I listen to that got me in this pit?
Mm.
What voices, what trauma, what inclinations, right? What addictions,
Mm.
what thing was speaking in my ear,
Yeah.
right? That got me into this pit. You got to know the voice that got you in there, and you got to know the voice that's going to get you out.
Come on.
You got to know, what was I listening to? What was I being led by and guided by that allowed me to get stuck here?
Yeah.
And when am I going to make the decision to take a step back and say, Lord, I'm listening, and hear the
Mm.
instructions of God so that you can get out of it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what I want us to do, any area of your life where you feel overwhelmed,
Mm.
or you feel stuck, or you feel like you have been living in bondage, I want you to take a moment. This is how we get those stones out, y'all. I want you to take a moment, and I want you to identify, what was I listening to? Because the
Mm.
Bible says faith comes by hearing. Then you have to also
Yes.
assume that doubt also comes by hearing.
Come on.
That the things in your life that have led to negative fruit, to bad fruit, to
That's
you
it.
being stuck, to
That's
you
it.
being in bondage,
That's
to you
correct.
being led by fear or by disbelief or by anxiousness or by anger, that those things came by something that you heard, that you
Mm.
ingested, right? You have got to know that something led you into that place. And you need to take a moment, take a step back and say, Lord, what was the voice that got me here?
Mm.
What thing was I trying to fulfill or cover up, or trying to mask, that led me down into a pit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you have to take that thing and you have to say, Lord, I'm giving this thing to you. This is what led me here. Lord, please, right? Again, he's a good oh y'all. He's a good shepherd, right?
Mm.
He's a good shepherd, maketh me to lie down in green pastures, leadeth me beside the still waters, right? You have to know that the voice of God, the instructions of God, can lead you out of any pit,
Hmm.
right? I told y'all about one pit. I had a few others I had to ask God to lead me out of.
Yeah.
But this is, I'm telling y'all, December is a good month.
Yeah.
December is a good month. Don't sleep on December. It is so easy. It's so easy to look at December and see everything that God didn't do.
Mm.
But y'all, we got 3 weeks.
First of all, first of all, that right there, we got 3 weeks. So it's not over.
Come on
Secondly,
here.
secondly, December is the end of your year. It's not the end of you. And it's not the end of your life. It's just the end of a year.
I just want, get it started. Get the ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling. And Ruth Abigail, you kept saying it's gonna take time, it's gonna take time, it's gonna take time. And I understand. But y'all, let me tell you something. When the Lord took me aside for 2 months and was like, we about to get all this, I'm about to, and addressed everything in my life. 2 months. And I'm not saying that it's finished. I'm saying God just needs your eyes on it.
Yes.
He just needs you in agreement with him that, oh, that wasn't right. And I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't right. I'm surrendering in that area. Oh, I got a little off right there. I didn't realize I was being led by my trauma, or being led by my anxiety, or being led by my lack of hope or my lack of faith. I didn't realize that. The Lord just needs your awareness, and then he can get the rolling. He can get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's gonna take time, but it is not gonna take time to get in alignment with God. It is just a
It
yes.
it's just a yes. No, that's absolutely true. Yeah, no, your yes won't take any time. It's the after the
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah,
Because
no,
the
for
real,
sure.
it's a process. But to your point, and also to your point, like, I mean, I think knowing, having an expectation that it's not going to be on your time. It never is, right? So
Hmm.
time, it's very different. We can't understand how God sees time. We can't. We don't understand it. But
Hmm.
what we do understand is that he sees it differently. Like, time is very
Hmm.
different to God than it is for us. And so you
For
can
sure.
bet that, yes, it's going to take time, but and also it won't be your time. So you might want it to take a year and it take a month. You might want it to take a month and it take a year, but it's not up to you. Right. And I think there's an expectation sometimes that when I decide to do something, now the process is up to me too. And that's not true. Right. And so the process isn't up to you. You say yes to God and you say yes to his process. But and his
Mm.
process is on his time, not yours. But you do have to believe that if he puts you in the process, then he's going to take you to the other side of that process.
There is an expected end.
There is an expected end.
Whatever God begins in your life, He will perform it.
100%. He will.
Yeah.
And you have to keep, that again, that patience, accepting it, living in today, and living in that truth on a daily basis is going to
Mhm.
help to not dwell on, but I don't have it, I didn't get it, I'm not there, I don't I'm telling the same story. My present and my past don't seem to be any different. All of those things. When you live in the moment that God has afforded you today and don't dwell on yesterday or tomorrow, then you'll be able to experience what God has done today and
Mm,
rejoice
mhm,
in what God has done today. And
mhm.
then if the and I was about to say if the Lord wills. I feel very old saying that, but my dad says it
You are
all the
very
time.
old.
Well, whatever. My dad says it all the time, and as I get older, I realize why that is. The reality is, I mean, it's true. If the Lord wills, there's just absolutely no guarantee that tomorrow is here, and so
Mhm.
don't spend today worrying about tomorrow when you don't even know tomorrow's gonna come for you. I mean, that's just real. You know what I'm
Yeah, that's
saying?
old, Ruth.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the truth. Okay.
I encourage y'all to not start thinking about the end yet.
No, no, no. But
You don't even know if you're gonna be here
you
tomorrow.
don't though.
Lord
You
willing, and the
don't.
creek don't rise.
You really don't. But you don't. And it's like, man, you don't
Oh.
want to spend your days worried about something that they ain't even guaranteed. Like love today, enjoy today, and know that God, the expected end is good. The expected end is good. Here's the other thing, and the kind of that last word we were talking about is hope. I am not naturally a hopeful person. Quita is
No,
full
you are
of
not.
hope. And so I struggle with hope. I struggle with that word. I was kind of sharing a little bit with some folks this weekend. Just I'm naturally more cynical than hopeful. I don't. It's like I don't. It's like okay, yeah, yeah, but this is probably what's gonna happen. I mean, let's just be real. Like that, this is probably what's gonna
My
happen.
Lord.
That's my natural mentality, and so what I have had to, um, what I have had to be continue to allow myself to do is be hopeful. And if I'm honest, hope scares me because I don't like disappointment and I don't like surprises. So for me, my cynicism is safe because it keeps me unsurprised. Or it keeps me unsurprised in a way that I don't want to be
Mm,
surprised, right? So it's like if I'm cynical and then something
mm.
good happens, oh great, that's awesome. I was wrong. I'm cool to be wrong on that. But if I hope and something bad happens, then yeah, I'm not good with that. That's just gonna
Now, I
crush
will
me.
tell you, hope is a life of disappointment
Well,
because it
it
never.
it
Yeah,
is, and
a
I don't
hopeful
like
life
that.
is a disappointing one.
I'm not
Uh,
for that. I'm not for the disappointment. And so I don't know. I if I'm just being real, and some of you might feel this too, I need help with hope. Like I need help with that. Like I need to learn how to be more hopeful. Um but I need to learn how to be more hopeful. I don't have an answer today. What is how would you help me? Help me, Queen. Help me be more hopeful.
Ruth Abigail, this has been a 20-year endeavor,
Okay,
and
well,
you
just
want
okay,
me
fine.
on
Help
this
me more.
podcast.
Help me.
You know, I think that hope is vulnerable.
Yeah,
You know, hope is it is saying, you know, it's being okay with what you want and what because that's what hope is. Nobody's hoping for something that they don't want,
sure, sure.
but hope is saying, I really, really want this. And going back to our episode from a couple of weeks ago with our sisters,
Mhm.
you know, sometimes that big kid in us, that oldest child in us, We don't like the hope because we don't like to put our wants out there because they don't always get fulfilled
Correct.
for, for the sake of whatever. Hey, you want something but your younger sister needs something. And
Right.
so I think you have to hope is just another area that we have to learn to be vulnerable in. You
Hmm.
know, I am a very hopeful person, and I have learned how to manage disappointment well. But my bounce back is strong usually, except for this year, 2024.
Sure.
We talk about that in a moment. I was like, all right, that bounce back is not bouncing back like I'm used to bouncing. All
Yeah.
right, it ain't too bouncy. That ball is rolling, it ain't
Uh-huh.
bouncing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Somebody catch it, it's about to go down the hill and crash. Okay, but the vulnerability of hope will oftentimes, you know, um, make you have to. It makes you have to say it out loud, and then
Uh,
people become aware of your
yeah.
hope. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
not that you're not hopeful; you're just not saying it. You get what
You
I'm
that's
saying?
that's a good point. That's a great
Yeah,
point. That's a great
yeah.
point.
It's you're not
That's a good
allowing
point.
it to exist outside of yourself,
That's very true.
because then you have to be accountable to all the people and all of the things that became aware of your hope. But when you are not vocalizing it, right, then nobody has to know, and you can be on the right side when whatever happens,
You know what I'm
or you can
realizing?
manage yourself.
You know what I'm realizing right now? You know what I do? And actually, I think this is a good thing to do. But I think in lieu of that, what I do instead of being hopeful and saying what I want, I say what I believe is going to happen. And I say, or this is what I'm going to do, right? So it's like I'm very. This is just me having a moment, y'all. So if you need to fast forward, do that. But I'm just having a little moment. I
This is for us.
I'm realizing like I I don't say what I want or what I hope for. Um Often. Like I will more so say this is what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to happen. Like I will formulate the plan and then follow through with the plan and what I'm willing to do in order to get to where I believe is possible to go.
Now, did you just model that as a good thing, Ruth Abigail? Did you say, because you started this statement
It
off with,
is a good
this is
thing.
this is actually a good thing.
I
It
don't think
sounds
it's a
like
bad
control
thing.
to me. It
Well, all
sounds
right.
like it
Okay.
sounds like control.
Well,
It
hold on.
sounds like y'all got to excuse us. This is a Ruth Abigail and Jaquita moment, and this is I want y'all to all celebrate my 20-year breakthrough here. As we get Ruth Abigail to where she needs to be. Okay, this is a 20-year endeavor, and I gotta take the moment as it shows up. But it is still you not being vulnerable and not giving over to the idea of, this could work out a way that I didn't expect. It's
Yeah.
you saying, I want it to work out the way that I expect it to, because then I'll be able to better manage it one way or the other. And it is also you saying, I'm dependent upon my efforts to produce the result.
I mean, very true.
Hope says, I don't know who gonna do what, but it's gonna happen.
I can be honest and say like I feel like I'm forced into hope sometimes. When I feel forced into hope, I have it. There's certain like even right now, like I'm in the middle of something where I'm feeling forced into hope. Like, okay, you gonna have to do something because I don't have an answer, or I feel like I've gone as far as I can go. So God, so now it's like I know you got it. I believe in you. But if I'm honest, I feel like I have to say that because I don't have anything else there's nothing else I can say. There's nothing else I
That's
can
all I
do.
got.
That's all I got at this point because I've exhausted my efforts. And you're right. Like I am much more of a let me do all I can do, and then if I need hope, then it's available. But I'd rather not need it,
Mm,
Um this is a problem. I recognize that. And this is something I need to grow in and I need to unlearn. And,
yeah.
and I will pursue that. I will pursue the unlearning of that. But as of today, that's where I am. and some of you might be
Not
there
mad
too.
at it. Not mad at it. Like I said, the goal of December is awareness.
That's right.
Awareness and alignment. Like, oh, because if all Ruth Abigail, let me ask you this. Would you be okay with a life where you only received what you were able to create for yourself?
Absolutely not. The best things, no, the best things in my life, I did nothing to get. Nothing. I didn't do
Yeah.
anything to get that intentionally. I didn't do anything. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But
Yeah.
also, there were like again, I'm just going back to moments where, to your point, your hope is vulnerable, and you know, and I'm going to go back to this moment because and so I'm going back to this moment. We've talked about it before, but the moment in college where I just was, I didn't have any friends. Like I felt like I needed a community, right? And there was a there were moments. There was a moment I'm remembering very vividly in my room where I'm
Oh, is
going
this
like
my
it's
favorite
like
moment?
it might be, but I really I was like, man, I need to go to dinner. I don't have anybody to go to dinner with. Oh, I can't stand Jaquita. So I didn't have anybody to go to dinner with. And so what I would do is, this is crazy, and I really do this, but this was me controlling, and this is my example of the control piece, and then I'll get to the whole piece. So I figure I'll sit on my couch. This is really sad. The way it's coming out is really bad. I'll sit on my couch with my door open, hoping that during dinner time somebody would see me sitting there and be like, "Hey, you want to come to dinner?" and invite me to dinner because they see me on my couch because my door is open while they're passing down the hallway.
Oh man, it's been a
This
long time since I thought about this story.
this was my strategy, guys. And I remember there being it was a very intentional strategy. Like, this is how I'm gonna do it, right? And it
Uh-huh.
didn't work. I mean, I had people that I went to dinner with, but we didn't really click like that. And um then I do remember a very real moment. I was in my bed in my bunk, freshman year. It's had to be around October ish,
Mhm.
um, October, September. I mean, October, November. And I said, and I prayed, and I said, Lord, I need friends. Like, I need some friends. I don't have them. And I really got to a point because everything I had tried wasn't working. Right. I tried hanging out with these
Mm.
people. I tried doing this. I tried doing that. I just like, it's not clicking. And this isn't working. Like, I need friends. And it was not too long after that
Go ahead and say it.
I'll do it. Okay, so the way that me and so Queen and I had met briefly. We exchanged numbers, but we never really connected again after that. And then I was at an ice cream shop with a few people living on my hall. And we were playing this game. They said, we want to play a game. I said, okay, cool. So it's a game where you take your cell phone and they go through you can't look at it. They go through your contacts and they call somebody. They put the phone up to your ear, and you have to guess who's on the phone if they answer the phone without looking at them. So we did this. I get the phone and I pick it up. Now, I grew up in a school that was predominantly white. Most of the contacts in my phone at that time were white people. Just be real. And
Mhm.
so I was very clear on who I knew the voices of the black folk in my life. My family, my friends back in Houston and all this. I knew who they were. And I knew this person on the phone was black. I was like, I don't know who is. And she was so excited. The way she answered the phone was like, Ruth, and she was so excited. I was like, hey, we go into this thing, and it took me a minute, and then we're talking like, and then it clicks. I said, Jaquita, and she was like, yeah. She thought I knew it was her the whole time. But anyway, uh, that's when we reconnected. And
Mhm.
then, we actually, like, shortly after that, I joined the gospel choir, and there we go, and here we are doing a podcast 20 years later.
That's crazy,
It's crazy,
right?
but it
The
wasn't my
power of
doing.
hope.
Yes, the power of hope, and you're absolutely right. Oh, I want to
Oh.
learn. I want to learn how to get to hope before I get to the end of my rope. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like I
Mhm.
want to learn how to hope before I get to
But
my
you know what?
end.
I think this is the power of community.
Yeah,
Right? Like, you are not going to be naturally good at everything.
very true.
And it is not even just having conversations with someone who's gonna tell you, "Hey, Ruth, you need to be hoping," right? But it is being in community with someone who is like lives their life really, really hopeful
Yeah,
and is like, "Yeah, God's gonna do it, and I can't wait to see how He gonna do it, and it's gonna be
yeah.
amazing," and completely devoid of reality.
Right,
Sometimes, all right? Talk
right.
about myself, but
Correct.
it's all right. Completely
Absolutely.
like God's gonna do it and it don't even have to be practical at all, right? and but like the power of community and I ooh, this is where I want to bring the people to. This is a year where God is going to accomplish things in unity, right?
Mm,
And it just literally dawned on me. I was listening to like this singing collective out of like I think out of Atlanta. All the singing collectives are out of like Nashville and Atlanta. But
uh-huh.
I was listening to them and they were like they have like a logo that says come COMM and the unity is real big. And I was like, how
Mm.
did I never see that the end of community is unity?
Huh.
Like, how did I never notice that?
Interesting.
Like, and
Really?
it just stuck out to me. And what I want to tell y'all is that the things that God is going to do in our lives in this next season is going to happen because of community.
Mm.
It is going to happen because of who you're connected to, because of the faith that you're connected to, because of the church family that you're connected to. Check your circle because your circle is about to produce something for you in this season, right?
Mm.
And there are things that we are strengthened by simply because of who God has placed
That's
into
very
our
true. That's
lives.
very true.
You get what I'm saying? I would not care not one bit about not one practical thing if it was not for God forcing me and Ruth Abigail into a shared bedroom. I remember we were so mad junior year because we were like, why are we still sharing a whole room together? Like we should have separate rooms by this point, but it was so intentional
Yeah.
because there were things that we still needed to learn from each other.
Right.
And there are people in community with you that have the hope that you're looking to model after, that you're growing in the areas that you're growing in. God has provided somebody that can be a constant reminder of how He operates in that area,
That's really
which
good.
is why we the body have to be fitly joined together,
Yeah.
because God does things in community with the people that we find unity with.
That's that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good, Jaquita.
Community.
Look at you. Look at you. Come on. Wordsmith.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Well, they
Um
had the logo.
they did. I mean that helped you. So I'm encouraged. I think I'm encouraged. Are you
Good.
guys encouraged? We hope you're encouraged.
Like they could talk back.
Right.
Hey,
All right. Right. Right.
but for real though, like y'all, you know what? Because I think this our last episode this year.
It is. This is our last episode this year, guys.
Season closer, y'all. Man,
Yep.
like y'all. I think I came into this series because knowing that we were going to be doing like personality tests and assessments and all this. And I've been doing that for like the last like 15 years. Like I love personality assessments. But when I tell y'all, I was not prepared for the amount of
Mm.
revelation and just complete like God just it's almost like God opened a window for us on this podcast and just started pouring. And I know that it's because of you guys. Like I know that it's because you guys are listening in on these conversations and God has come and sat with us on this podcast
Yeah.
and he's begun to there's a scripture. Dang, we've been pulling the
We've been
scriptures
in the
out
word
today.
today. Yeah.
Yeah, and I need to find the scripture, but it's something that's like God sits in the conversations amongst friends, like He's
Mm-hmm.
present. I really need to find that one. Um, and because I really do think it's kind of like our
Mm,
foundation.
that's a great point.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I really feel like God has been sitting with us and helping us to be able to articulate what He's doing in this season.
Mm,
And I don't think that I was anticipating.
yeah.
I was anticipating that the Lord was going to lead what we say because that's what the Lord does. But I wasn't prepared for God to really just sit with us in these moments and just pour out. And I want you guys to know, as much as you guys talk about how we have helped you all, or that like we said something that sparked something in y'all, us doing this podcast has been such a growth point. I know for both me and Ruth Abigail, and has allowed me, it has aided my own healing journey, but also my own sense of knowing that God is operating in the lives of His people and
Mm,
doing something big for this next season.
yeah.
And we are walking with y'all into that thing. Like, this is not us pointing the way. This is us saying, hey, y'all, come on. We all
That's
moving,
we all
you know?
going.
Yeah. And
That's it.
so I'm just happy to be on this journey with you, Ruth. And
Yeah.
I'm just so happy to be on this journey with all of our listeners and this community. I really think that we're beginning to build something here. And if you guys are listening right now, you are getting in on the ground floor of something that's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And I can't wait to see what God does with it.
Man, look, you are ground floor because it's only up from here. And we are this really has been it's been an incredible journey. And yeah, we're all moving into freedom. We're all doing it.
What you said.
Like we're all doing it. And so I do truly like, for those of you that have been rocking, and some of y'all been rocking with the podcast since January of 2023. So that, we're coming up on
Hmm.
2 years of this podcast, which is
Sheesh.
wild. But you've been rocking with it since then, man. And like, thank you so much. Like, you guys, I mean, you're the reason that we keep going, because there really is there's a power going back in community, um and there's power in a free people, in a free
Hmm.
community, and free people. And
Mm.
I just think that we need freer people, because there are more people that need to be free, but they're not going to be freed if you're not free. And
Yeah.
so get free. Let's get free so we can help other people get free. And that's part of what this podcast is. That's what this podcast is about. And it's like, how do we need to unlearn to do that? What do we need to unlearn to do that? What are you willing to let go of, shift your mind about to do
Hmm.
that? Um, and so these series that we do, these conversations that we have, all these different things we're able to put out there, we're able to do it because you guys decide to click download and listen. And so, um, thank you. And
For
this has
real.
been an amazing year. We can't wait till next year. We will see you next year. We hope y'all have an amazing Christmas. And
Yeah.
this, we know that we're gonna end this year in a way that is glorifying to God. But we're gonna end this year, but we're gonna begin the next season of our life. Um,
Man, let's go.
and so let's go, y'all. All right. So one time for the 2024, last time. Let's keep unlearning together so that we can experience more freedom in 2025. We'll
Let's
see y'all
do it.
then.
Bye,
Peace.
y'all.